Well, hello. My name is Tony Press. This is my short story collection called Crossing the Lines, published by the wonderful Big Table. The story I'll read is called The Viper's Smile. The Viper's Smile. With the exception of the viper on the floor, it looked to be a lovely morning. The equinox moon, still present above the trees, had ushered a surprisingly early blue sky, empty of the week's overcast beginnings. Birdsong, now 47 days in, provided this familiar, delicious welcome. But all of that was fiction now. Only the viper remained, curled in front of the door, perhaps 1.5 feet long, if stretched for measuring. It was not fiction. Mortality turns out to be a cold word after all. The cliché is true. While I had slept, the viper had found a way into my hut to escape the night's chill. It is possible it had just entered, but more likely it owed a full night's rent. I shivered in the already warm Andalusia morning. What do I know about vipers? They are poisonous, mortal. The only poisonous snake in Britain, I'd recently learned, but this was Spain, where it did not have the distinction of being the only one, but it didn't need to be the only one as long as it was one, a deadly snake, and it most assuredly was. In my hut, curled just inside the only door, mortality waited. I sat on my cot, my arms locked around my knees, my back supported but not comforted by the wall. Comforting would have been a window. What was the wall made of? Could I punch a hole in it, expand it, climb to liberation? For the first time, I regretted not packing a sledgehammer. Cumbersome, sure, and a tricky thing to get through security and customs, but right now it would trump every single Dharma book I'd lugged from San Francisco to the Iberian Peninsula to this paradise near Alicante, whose expiration date had suddenly imploded from September 1st to August 22nd. Just as with tofu or cottage cheese, you don't want to be around on the drop-dead date. A true practitioner surely would have seized the opportunity and meditated deeply. This was the stuff of legend. This was my time. But I just leaned against that wall. The little desk where I did my writing and reading stood less than a foot from the viper. From my perch, I saw no percentage in stepping on the floor. When I was able to look away from my visitor, I glanced at the surface of the desk and the words I had intended to contemplate this morning in meditation. The merit of a man who lives each day knowing it could be his last. Irony. Timing is everything, according to the comedians. I wasn't smiling, but maybe the viper was. Can a viper smile? I didn't look. The viper remained. Smiling or not, it did nothing but remain. On a campus where I once taught, once a month every clock would freeze for 2 minutes, apparently to allow the system to correct itself. It is disconcerting to stare at a clock that will not advance. Students get nervous. Teachers, too. My little clock said it had been 18 minutes. My hut was a mile from its nearest neighbor in the secluded ravine, which up to this morning had been a stunningly peaceful home for me, ensconced among staggering granite walls just 15 miles from the sea. There were no phones. I was on solitary retreat, my food delivered in a basket every 10 days at the base of an almond tree. The delivery person was good. I had neither seen nor heard him. No one would look for me for another 9 days until the end of my time. If the viper did do its worst, though, it wouldn't matter a whole lot if anyone came calling. 18 minutes in a certain light is a little different from a lifetime, and the room was bathed in that particular light. And then I remembered the New Yorker cartoon, the one I had taped to the outside of my laptop, which rested, its battery long dead, in its dusty carrying case just inches from the viper. The cartoon showed the classic death figure, hooded, carrying his scythe, standing ominously at the side of a man who was sitting behind a desk, a computer in front of him. And the man looks up and says, "Thank God you've come. I can't get anything done without a deadline." So I reached for my notebook and wrote these words. If anyone ever sees them, I thank you for your kind attention. May you be well. Thank you.